Hello, people. This is Zyberpunky and friends, and today we have Officerdan and Shinja. They're joining me into this interesting topic that is microtransaction and DLCs. All right. So I was, thinking these days that um, I really do spend a lot of money on DLC, even bad DLCs. Uh, so I spent a lot of money on DLCs because um, of fighting games. I don't know if you guys see my gameplays, Dead or Alive.
Yeah, we've seen a few
Uh,
of them. Yeah.
Yeah, so Dead or Alive, I really, really, really do spend a lot of DLC in that game.
Like you buy a lot of it, or
Yes, like I would buy a lot of it.
The way you're talking, Zyberpunky, this makes it sound like an Alcoholics Anonymous
Oh, you
meeting.
you have no idea the addiction I have
You
towards this
buy a
game.
lot of it.
I need it.
Think of
I
what you're
smoke
doing to
it.
your family.
I smoke it. I vape it. Stuff, but
Oh my gosh. So yeah. So there's good and bad DLCs that I bought. Not just only this game. There's a lot of Call of Duty, other shooters, other online passes, such as um, things that you have to pay additionally after you buy a game. Um, so the problem is that, well, my problem. So it starts if it's like something that I like for the characters or something that I would like to upgrade my gaming experience. Well, this is what happens, and I'm sure I need to earn money, but I can't because I like what I see.
Mm.
So, this is one kind of like the developers' strategy to capture gamers' perspective of seeing buy something or it's just like $5. Yeah, $5.
not always. It's.
$5
Oh, I
seems much.
wish it was only $5.
Now there's a lot of DLCs out there that are like 15, $20, and some of them are not that worth it. Some of them are really disappointing, and that's a huge problem today. That people get way too disappointed in a lot of DLCs that have been coming out uh for these big AAA games like GTA, Battlefront.
I'm thinking of Batman Arkham Knight as a
Oh
prime
yes.
example of that, yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody's a fan of that stuff.
Right now, yeah, it's a. It was a disaster when it was released.
Hmm.
Um, but it's not just those games that like have a lot of. I mean, like, well, yeah, Batman, like, and most games that are made by Warner Brothers, like, they have tons of DLC usually released with them, and they're not even like real um like anything additional that expands your gaming experience or
Yes.
it's usually it's a lot of like, oh hey, you can get this, alternate costume for like $7 or something. you know it's it's expensive. It's so I usually feel like a lot of it is overpriced.
On the realm of just costumes and cosmetics and things like that, um, I was just I don't know how am I putting this here. The thing that made the concept of DLC first be brought to my attention, like I really just kind of ignored it before, but where it all kind of started with me was with Oblivion and the infamous horse armor. as maybe you guys might recall.
Yeah.
I looked that up. That cost $2.50
$2.50.
for $2.50. That did nothing. It was just completely cosmetic, and there were a lot of people mad about that business practice then. Maybe it cost more then, but I think it was $2.50. I looked it up, and that's what I found. It cost $2.50 to get this completely worthless thing. I played Oblivion, and I didn't even ride my horse around. I just fast traveled. It was just there for looks and did nothing else. And now these days, for those that like to get cosmetics, there's plenty of people spending a lot more on that kind of thing too.
Yeah. I always feel like cosmetics and the whatnot. Like, I understand if sometimes like, let's say I'm gonna take Smash for example. You know that there's lots of cosmetics for specifically the Miis, the Mii fighters,
the Mii fighters, yeah.
And Nintendo from time to time releases new ones, depending on like new characters released or being released or.
Yeah, there's a couple free ones in there, but a lot of it you pay for.
Yeah, a lot of them you pay for, or you get a bundle. Some of them are on characters that have been requested, but they don't, so they don't put them in. So they just are like, let's throw in a costume in there, like Gino.
Oh yeah.
Highly requested character, yet no
Knuckles.
nothing.
Mega Man X.
Yep, there's quite a few in there. And those I can sort of understand because those are more like they never planned for it to be in the game to begin with. But I don't know. Nintendo's another one that I feel like prices their DLC a little bit too high sometimes.
You think so?
I think so. At least for the costumes. Maybe I don't know how much they are.
I don't either. I haven't paid too much attention to it.
I know the additional characters are like $5 or $6.
Yes, that's right. Actually, you know what? I think Mii costumes might be 75 cents a piece. I think I might be mistaken, but I think I've paid like $1.49 to get the Gino costume. I'm not even a cosmetics person, but Gino is somebody who I was pulling for in Smash Brothers, so I had to get that. I think I paid $1.49 to get Gino on both the 3DS and Wii U to get the codes for that. So that would add it up to be pretty close.
Yeah, so, yeah, it's probably somewhere around there.
I can talk about Nintendo's DLC practices maybe later on, though.
Alright.
Anyway, so continue, Zyberpunk.
So, yeah. About the characters, there's also DLC to download characters if you have a fighting game.
Which is my favorite kind.
Yes, it's my favorite kind too. But I also need to be convinced to buy this kind of DLC, because if I'm going to like spend hours, like if I want to masterize this character's moves, this character needs to be really good. And that all includes their clothing, their costumes, etc. These people need to convince me so bad so that I can buy their character. It has happened to me in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, Dead or Alive. I have not bought anyone on Xenoverse. Just a lot of reasons, because in Xenoverse DLCs are way too expensive.
Do they have people you can buy on Xenoverse?
They have GT characters, and I think the new characters from the Frieza movie, and they're way too expensive because it's like almost a bundle price, and I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, and I can't buy them
for only one character.
Yeah, and I'm like, guys, please. Well, not for one character. It's like it's a pack. I can't buy the character alone. I have to buy it with a pack with other characters in it. I can't buy that specific character alone, and that would really frustrates me with a lot of DLC. They just, okay, so you buy this and you have this other shit stuff, which I don't want, and that totally, you know, pisses me off because I want the character, not all the shit that you guys want to put on. Uh, on my, I mean, it's my money. It's
Yeah,
um,
definitely the way they could organize it is better. Um, but then again, you know, they probably need a reason to charge you that much. So
Yeah, I was. There's a story that was put out because of Skullgirls. Um, have you guys heard of Skullgirls?
yep,
yeah, but
Skullgirls actually was really transparent and put out a breakdown for everything it costs for them to add on a new DLC character.
yeah.
And that number was $250,000.
Well,
And they
I
broke
think
down.
someone else did that for them.
Yeah,
I
they could
remember I saw a video that was saying like, this is how much you need to design a new character. This is what you need to design all the hitboxes that it'll need.
how much the staff costs
Yeah,
to
it was
do
just
it. Was 250,000 the number that you heard?
it was much higher than I was expecting.
Hmm.
Like ridiculously higher, which is why they did the GoFundMe campaign.
Yes, that's what it was.
So
And they'd already heard rumors. I thought through the vine somewhere. They heard rumors that to even develop for Street Fighter 4 at the time cost more than $1 million for one character.
wow.
yeah, I mean those were 3D models, so
Yeah, so
Yeah.
there would be more involved.
but yeah, fighting games they a lot of hard work and effort is put into them. Um, and I guess they're not as hugely as popular as they were before, just because, especially since they're more expensive to make, not a lot of people, you know, buy them. Like it's a specific sort of like crowd of people that buy it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's partly why they release a bunch of DLC just to get kind of more attention for the game going on. But like you said, Zyberpunk, they kind of have to get creative with what they offer you
Yeah.
to convince you to
'Cause-
buy it.
Nah, it's like it's marketing. Well, let's be real. It's like that strategy that they make to win money from us, and talking in the developers side, well, they do this for a living, and I totally get it. Um, they also intend to uh, to convince and not convince, just to get that fanatic type of gamer to stay with the game. Because if there's no DLC, if there's no update, if there's nothing on an online game that you actually play online, if there's no update, there's no something, people are going to get bored. And I see that because I've seen that happen with a lot of games. Like, they release the game, they release like 2 DLCs between the 2 or 3 months, and they just forget about the game, and people get bored, and people will be like, well, this game was pretty cool, but it got bored, and you know uh, it's not what I expected. Destiny is one of them.
Yeah, Destiny was a huge. I don't want to call it failure, but it didn't live up to its expectations because a lot of its content was locked behind a DLC wall.
Totally.
So like, I think like a lot of the game was already there, but you couldn't actually play it unless you
you buy the DLC.
which wasn't even released yet at the time. So
Yeah.
that really sucked. And they're not the only ones to do it. A lot of games do it. Fighting games do it. Well, you'll see
Yeah.
the icons for locked characters there, and they'll be like, "Oh, go to the shop and buy it or whatever." And then eventually they'll release the ultimate version of the game where
Yeah.
you already have them unlocked.
There's a way to do that right and a way to do that wrong. And in the term in respect to Destiny, that is a way of doing it wrong, because the thing that I don't like is where you separate the player base like
Yeah.
that. Destiny has playlists for people, and you full on can't do stuff if that's not there. I get, okay, Officerdan, that's really obvious. Of course you can't do that stuff because you don't have the expansion. But with the way the Destiny was set up, like, you were just completely locked from an aspect of a rotation, is what I'm saying. I'm really pro expansion. You know,
Oh, yeah.
if you add more stuff onto it, like Blizzard having more stories for StarCraft and doing new bunches of content like in 14 with Heaven's Word and
Yeah, but that like came planned later. That wasn't like, you know, like the original. That wasn't the original design of the game. Or like Heaven's Word. You know, they is a sequel to or the expansion to Final Fantasy 14, Realm Reborn.
I'm saying I just like it in a big chunk like that. You know what I'm saying?
It's like
Yeah.
saving. It's like saving the game's ass when it's so bad. You have to download this DLC so bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Destiny did it wrong just because they didn't give you a huge expansion. They were just like, oh, get this area, get that area, get that.
Yeah. And
To my understanding, did they have a season pass?
What, for Destiny?
Yeah.
I assume they do.
yeah,
feel like-
they did. Yeah.
They're just treating it like a normal multiplayer, basically. There's some games that I feel like no DLC is even needed, really.
Right.
Like, for example, I got The Last of Us for the PS3 when it came out. I had heard nothing about the game, and right when I bought it, they're like, "Hey, you want the season pass?" And me, like the sucker I am, I was like, "Yeah, I'll take the season pass." I downloaded the voucher or whatever, and I have not. After I beat the game, I have not returned to it. I have not played any of the DLC. Just because now the game wasn't bad. The game was amazing. I loved that
Yeah.
game. It's one of my favorite games on the PS3, but it was at a point where I was like, I don't need the story to continue. It's
Yes.
fine
Yeah.
where it's at. So I don't really need DLC.
I have that feeling a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, if I go, since I got the season pass now, if I go to the PlayStation Store and, download something, yeah, it's not to say it won't be fun playing it, but my gaming experience with that game was complete.
Yeah.
So, I like my games to be like that. I don't want a feeling of like, man, I wish there was more, and I'll have to wait until new DLC that they have planned for to release for the rest of the year
Yeah.
to be released.
Indeed.
Especially ones that I have to pay for, because
Yeah.
that's another $60, because that's usually what DLC costs, $50 to $60
Yeah.
in grand total.
So, Officer Dan, you were going to share something with us about the Nintendo's
Oh yeah,
eShop.
how they handle DLC. I actually think they're the best in the group. I know I'm not the only one on the internet that feels that way concerning DLC. I think they're the smartest company in the way that they're handling it for a number of reasons. People were first surprised when Mario Kart 8 first came out. Like, hey, we're gonna have 2 more Grand Prix, like 16 more tracks or something like that. 4 more Grand Prix, then I guess that would be.
Yeah.
Oh, it's something like that. My numbers are off.
4 tracks per each cup. So.
But at any rate, like, that was already, like, a full and complete game. And so this was stuff that they're developing after the fact, which is important to me. It's not stuff that's cut content and then thrown and put together later for you to buy later. This was stuff that they are developing after the fact, and that's what DLC is to me. So since they knew that that was coming, they're allowing people the chance to just go ahead and pre-buy it at a discounted price, and you got all that stuff for $12 ahead of time.
All 16 tracks.
Yeah, you got all those tracks ahead of time, and that was a number of characters, at least 6. I wish I could remember, because it's been a while since I played Mario Kart, and I keep meaning to go back to it. But that's all those courses and all those characters, and because you kind of bought it ahead of time, they threw in extra stuff for you in the meantime, extra colors for your characters and whatnot.
Nice.
And that was really, so I think that's great from a well-priced standpoint, and that helps out the developer in the meantime. And in the realm of expansion-related things, Fire Emblem Fates, or Conquest, Birthright, those games coming out, like, those are 2 complete games on their own, with the different storylines and everything. And sometimes, like you said, like, DLC can just feel tacked on, it's like leftover and put in and whatever. So this new Fire Emblem, if you don't know, is split between 2 stories, and so there's 2 different games that have come out as DLC. Those are 2 complete games on their own, but as DLC to both of those, there's a third option that you're able to choose as part of the storyline. It's like, oh cool, if I want to know more about before and after everything, just a whole other campaign is there for you to check out, just to see, what would happen if this character didn't choose either side and just decided to go his own path or something like that. And so that's along
a whole other game, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that's something along the expansion route that I really appreciate. And I already talked about Smash last week, and I love that. I love that to death. And so this is the same thing as any other game that offers characters as downloadable content. Is the game's rules are set in stone, and so it's really. I'm taking this from a translated Masahiro Sakurai article a little bit. Because he's just announced that he's going on vacation since development for Smash 4 is finally done.
Yep.
In his words, just to paraphrase, like, the game's rules are set in stone, but it's the fighters that are able to do something completely new that the other fighters weren't able to do, to bring brand new life and new gameplay to it. The matchups,
Yeah.
And so that's partly why characters are some of my favorites. So that's a bit of my gushing on Nintendo for now.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love the way Nintendo releases their DLC. The 2 games that come to mind, first one obviously being Smash, where a lot of the DLC characters were all user or community voted characters. So there's people or characters that were really wanted by the people.
Yeah.
Some of them were odd, some of them were very interesting.
I like a bit odd too.
Yeah, I was very excited to see Lucas and Ryu back, and I was.
Oh, Ryu's new.
Yeah. Ryu new.
Mm-hmm.
Roy, you're thinking Roy?
Roy
Roy back from
Roy,
Melee.
yeah.
Lucas.
Absent a whole game.
Lucas, Roy, and U2 was back as well.
Yep, from Melee. Yep, he's back as well.
So that was great, and then we got to see Cloud, Bayonetta, Corrin.
Mm-hmm.
Those are completely new characters. To be honest, like, Bayonetta surprised me. I did not see her coming.
No one did, man.
I just didn't see her being part of a Smash game. But she's actually pretty cool to use in the game.
Oh, she's really cool, and she's going to be really good.
I don't know.
Hopefully there'll be more patches. We don't know for sure, but she might need it because she's really good.
Yeah. I love Corrin. Corrin's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say she, but it's
It can be
technically-
either.
Yeah, they are almost identical to Bayonetta in some ways. I mean,
Yeah.
Bayonetta is more long range in certain aspects, but when I play either of them, they feel very, very similar.
Okay, and I would be amiss to not bring up Splatoon again.
That's the next game I was going to
Compare Splatoon in one hand to Star Wars Battlefront in the other. Both people on both of those sides, same situation. These games, when they first came out, they're like, content is lacking a little bit in both of these games. And they had, like, what's even worse for Battlefront, because they have a history of having tons more stuff in the game, so that's even more points off them for that. But Splatoon kept getting stuff weekly. Eventually, weekly, there would be new weapons, and eventually brand new, complete new weapon types for you to counter against, and maps, and community events. And it's several months later for Star Wars Battlefront. Not only is that stuff that you're paying for, I don't think they've really gotten anything of substance yet.
They haven't released anything. They released one free expansion, Battle of Jakku so far. That's basically it. Splatoon, I don't think they're even done releasing everything.
A new map was just out a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so they're really on it.
For free.
The other thing they have is similar is, to my knowledge, Splatoon, when it released, they already had all these weapons and maps planned out and developed. They were just slowly releasing them.
Yeah.
The biggest difference being that Splatoon isn't charging anything at all.
That's right.
To have these bonus things, because they're technically already on the game.
Yeah.
Or on the disc.
Now you guys, after hearing that, tell me which is the better deal for the gamer.
Yeah. So what has been the worst DLC that you have ever downloaded in your gamer life?
That I've actually got?
Yeah. And you still have.
I'd have to think about that for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like, I haven't downloaded much DLC other than, like...
I can think of instances that were stupid that I've taken no part of. You know what? I might be able to think of one, because I'm not too big of a DLC guy, but I forget the name of the Katamari game on the 360. I bought one course from that, and even though it was like 80-something cents, and I'm like, I'll bother. It was the first piece of DLC I bought on a console, like, ever, I'm pretty sure. I'm like, I'll try this out, because it was less than $1. All it was one of the exact same courses, but with different collectible objectives in it, and it just even felt soulless comparatively. So it's probably that.
I'm trying to think. I know I bought like skins for certain characters in games, and it's been pointless. But the first thing that comes to my mind that I deeply regret spending any money on, because I don't play it anymore, probably has to be cards in Hearthstone.
Oh, Cards in Hearthstone.
Because that's one of those games where it's powered by microtransactions. The whole game's free to play, but it's a pay to win sort of game where you'll buy packs of cards, and like in real life they're randomized. You'll end up with duplicates sometimes, and I've spent more money in that game than I ever wished that I did. Probably near the hundreds. So it's a lot of money, and I only got like 2-3 rare cards, that I then later got again through just the game sometimes throws you like freebies, and I got those same cards through freebies later on, so that felt kind of like pointless to me. But yeah, there's not been many DLC that I bought that I've regretted.
Well, for me, there's like only like one of them that it has been the worst, and I will never forget about that moment. I just that moment that I really fucked up. So I just recently, well, I'm talking way back now. I think it was 2014. I bought Ninja Gaiden 3. Uh, was a Razor's Edge, and there's only like 2, 3 DLCs of that game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think one is like $5, and one is like for the online game. So I think I bought the online one. I barely remember, but I think it was that one. There was no one online.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
I
see.
was like, so I bought this shit for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ninja Gaiden 3, that's a pretty decently old game, right? When did that come out?
I think it was like
Few,
2013.
yeah, I was
The
gonna say
Razor's
three,
Edge
4 years
version,
ago. Yeah.
Razor's Edge version came out later on. That's the one I bought. Um, so well, I totally regret downloading that. Uh, it was a total waste of my money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was like $5 wasted. And
At
I'm
least it
like,
was only $5.
yeah, $5. But I could have used those $5 for another game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I always think of that. I just wasted $5 for just this stupid ass DLC, and I will never have them back.
Yeah, well, that happens. I mean, yeah, microtransactions are a bitch, especially for games like that where after a year or two, the online multiplayer's dead.
Yeah.
So that really sucks, man. I'm sorry.
My condolences.
So now let's go to microtransaction, which
Which
is a really big deal today that a lot of famous gamers on YouTube and other type of website have been complaining about it. So I would like to talk and share it with you guys. And I have never, just for the record, I have never tried microtransactions yet.
Oh, I've done
But
plenty of microtransactions.
so basically um it's uh it's like a not like a DLC because DLC is a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
So the micro, which means it's you have to pay like $2, $1, $3 for
Yeah, it's
weapon and a lot of stuff just to advance your gaming process you
speed it
know
up. Speed it
or
up's
speed it up.
the better word.
uh Such as a lot of online games just like Halo, um
Oh,
Battlefront. So it's been a problematic towards other gamers who don't have or do not like microtransactions, and they see these other people having these type of advanced guns, and they just you know they can't do anything about it because they're too overpowered, and they just keep on losing a freaking match.
mm-hmm.
So this has been happening more on the shooter side. There's also microtransaction on free to play games
Yeah.
because that's where it started.
That's
So
uh that's where it's most popular at right now. Like a lot of free to play online MMOs, they that's how they try to get you. Or actually, practically every MMO has microtransactions, um, where it's literally either just to make your gaming experience go by a little bit faster, just make things less tedious, or just to show off to people like, hey, I got
Yeah.
this. And in some games, it's not as bad as it is in others, because, for example, uh, one of the MMOs I play, Final Fantasy, they have microtransactions, but they're not pay to win microtransactions.
Yeah.
A lot of them are just like, oh hey, pay, I don't know, X amount of money and you get a new mount, or you get this new minion thing. It does absolutely nothing, but it's cute and you can show off to people that like, hey, I paid money to get this.
Mm.
Basically.
Um, which I usually never get any. Some of them come free with the monthly subscription you pay. Um, but then there's games like I said, Hearthstone. Hearthstone is purely powered by microtransactions, and it is a pay to win game.
I was gonna say Heroes of the Storm is probably at this point for the most part, except for characters.
Yeah,
I guess characters are making the money as well.
The person who has the most money basically has the biggest advantage. You can just keep spending money to keep getting crystals or whatever to purchase more cards or whatever. And I guess in Heroes of the Storm, purchase more characters, better characters, or buffs for your characters that you start off matches with. And it becomes unfair. Like you can hold your stand a lot of times if you know how to play the game pretty well, or if you have a pretty good. If I'm talking about Hearthstone, if you got a pretty good deck, I guess in Heroes of the Storm, if you got strategies, I guess, and a good team, that's really what matters most.
Yeah,
A good team. You can kick some butt, but yeah, and then the where microtransactions, where they have the biggest market right now, is on mobile devices and mobile apps.
yep. Don't touch that stuff.
Yeah, those games are usually always pay to win. Like you'll download any app, and it'll be like, hey, I saw you died, but if you pay this much, we'll give you this, which will let you get a high score. And so
Those are money suckers.
yeah, I've never ever, for a mobile device, or mobile app, I've never spent any money on microtransactions, except on Hearthstone, but that's technically a PC game also.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing's ever convinced me to really do microtransactions, um, especially since like a lot of it's really pointless. It's literally just kind of like, hey, we'll make the game completely easy to play. Like there's no effort in it if you just give us your money.
It's like, what's the point of playing your freaking game if you're going to speed it up for me?
Yeah, and then as you said, there's the shooters. That you get to buy some guns for a price. I haven't really played many shooters that do that. I have seen them though. But there's usually always an option where like, oh, you don't have to use money to buy it. You just have to play for a really long time until you finally get it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, continue.
Well, I was gonna say, and by the time you do get the needed money to get it, the in-game money, not actual money,
Mm-hmm.
the person who had the better gun will have another better gun or equipment or whatever. So the process begins again.
Yeah, I can't help but think of PlanetSide 2 like that. You'd be able to earn stuff eventually, but then like you're just keeping yourself out of basically what would essentially be like a complete class, and the entire game is locked behind that until you work your way up fast enough.
There's like a lot of new developers with new games trying to get this microtransaction into their games, and they don't actually work. Um, just because there's a lot of gamers like us that we do resist this temptation, because this is basically a temptation. They just tell you, well, you have lost this kinds of times, or we can speed up your process, or these kinds of stuff are like, well, you're right. Let me just spend my money on this shit, and that's where a lot of gamers will fall. But for me, like, there's this kind of thing that we can't lose. We can't lose that thing that we have to gain stuff from sweat. Uh, we all know that microtransaction is like, okay, so it's like the easy way out. I don't know if you guys see it that same way, but I do see it that way. There's like a lot of gamers complaining about this ripping off money, and also the speed up the process. It's not good.
Well, it takes the
So
game out of the game.
yeah, it's like, what's the point of playing your game if I'm going to finish it up in 5 hours, 4 hours? And basically, the most idiot thing is that most of these microtransactions are for online gaming. Uh, if they do have a campaign, like, who cares about that campaign if you will spend all your money on the multiplayer? So the problem here is that if we try to make this thing like the gamers will still buy and still buy and still buy, this is gonna grow up. So it's on to us. It's on to us to decide if the microtransaction actually works for us or not, and that is all on the if I buy it or not. So
I think it's
so
like, sorry, but I think it's gonna inevitably it's gonna just keep growing and
yeah,
like, because the reason they're there is because they know people will buy it, and
yeah,
it all comes back to the old I have a bigger dick than you thing. So
yeah.
Yeah, somebody will be. That's what I was trying to say with the horse armor thing. Like I said, lots of people are mad about that, and now these days there's plenty of people spending money on cosmetic stuff. So I worry, but I think if it's BS enough, people won't go for it. So it depends on how well they do it, I guess.
it depends. I mean, plenty of people bought Battlefront, and they bought
And they bought the
the
season pass.
and they brag about it.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's the whole like I have a bigger dick than you do sort of syndrome.
Hmm.
Yeah. I'm even thinking about another big title. Like, I was just Fallout 4
Yeah.
has
Oh,
a
yeah.
season pass, and I don't think it's gotten anything yet.
No.
Like, still people have put that however much money that was. I think it was 25.
But see,
And still got nothing.
Fallout 4 is another game that I feel is just like The Last of Us, where I'm like, it's such a huge game. By the time when they add more stuff to it, I'm gonna be like, I don't need that extra stuff because I haven't even explored all I can. It's like,
Exactly.
I mean, like, I guess it won't matter because like I thought the same thing when I played Skyrim. I don't remember Skyrim having a season pass. I wouldn't doubt if it did because it came out during the time that DLC was a pretty big thing. 2011. That sounds about right.
Perhaps, yes.
But I bought the two big expansions that came with it. One of them was the vampire expansion,
And
Dawn
house making one?
Dawn something, and well, no, the house making one wasn't like super huge. It like let you buy plots of land to make your house, but there was the one that let you fight vampires and become a vampire. Vampire Lord, to be specific, because you could become a vampire previously. And then there was the one Dragonborn. The Dragonborn DLC.
Yeah.
That one that was the biggest one they had, where they added a whole new map for you to explore. So it was like, oh my god, I've got this huge game already, and now I've got another huge area to do with quest all of its own in that new area.
Huger.
New new spells, new shouts, new everything really, and I enjoyed it. So it's weird because I'm like, oh, if they do that for Fallout 4, I don't know if I would play it, and then I'm like, well, yeah, I'd probably play the crap out of that because I did it with Skyrim. So, but yeah, it's a huge game. It's I feel the same thing was like. I'm playing Witcher 3 still right now, and
Yeah.
dude, I'm still like at the very beginning of the game, and I feel like I put in hours and hours into that game. I put in like literally more than probably like 50, 60 hours at this point.
I'd like to know your total at this point.
I don't know. I need to check somewhere to see if I can find it in the game. I'm sure it records it somewhere, but it is a lot, and it's probably not accurate because I've died countless times too.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a hard and enjoyable game, and it has DLC to it, and I'm pretty sure it has a season pass as well. And that's another game where I'm like, I'm never gonna get through all of it. So, yeah, DLC's kind of tough in those cases. I feel like it might be unnecessary, but I don't say I don't want it because I'll probably end up getting it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it comes with things to equip.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like that.
I'm sure it has plenty of stuff that makes it worth it. It's just
Yes.
It's just whether by the time I reach the point where I'm like, okay, I'm ready for new stuff. Well, if I'll ever actually reach that point, you know.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot. I'm still overwhelmed. The game has way too many things in it right now. So.
So, what do you guys think if the microtransaction today, is it fair for online game?
There's always going to be the stigma attached of, oh, he paid money, so therefore he has an item that I don't. Like, the simple fact, even though I've seen developers try and say, oh, it doesn't, it's just the same thing as this, except slightly different or whatever. Like, that fact, that you're not going to change the fact. Like, he has it and you don't. Like,
Yeah.
you cannot change that.
Yeah. So, it's definitely unfair to a degree.
I can't see a world where it is.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really either. It depends on the item, really.
I mean, if it's, I mean, that boils down to cosmetics.
If it's cosmetics, then it doesn't matter if he has it or not.
Yeah. So
But
in
if
that
it's-
case, it's whatever.
But if it's something, I think we're talking right now about, like, if you're in an online match and you bought something that clearly gives you an advantage to winning, no matter how slightly it may be.
Yeah.
You still have an advantage.
That's right.
Then yes, it is unfair. Not to say you can't win, but it's unfair
Yeah.
because I don't have access to everything you have.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, do you guys think if the microtransaction is a good strategy for the developers who are really struggling to win more money
Absolutely.
for their game?
Yeah, you go ahead, put them in. It's not an issue. It becomes an issue if the whole game is run by them, though.
They're not paying the manufacturing costs of 5,000 cloaks with sparkles on them. They're developing it once, and then it's digital, and you have the infinite copies, and you're able to make money. I think that aspect is good if you have a developer that you like, and if you even just want to support them that way, Plus gets something that looks cool, something for you to take pride in, and it's just cosmetic, then I don't see anything wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
If we see them actually convincing, because there's like a lot of things that they do sell on the microtransaction that, man, maybe I should wait a little longer, you know, until I get this type of level and get this
Uh-huh.
type of thing, because you could get these things through time, not at the moment, and the developers still lose in that part. Like, you need to convince me more to buy this thing, because if that does only one thing, then the other thing does that. I mean, you have they have to do more to to catch gamers' eye, to um that uh
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like a lot of these things are like not worth it to buy at the moment.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and it's not just microtransactions. I was telling Dan the other day, we saw this a new game that's coming out, XCOM 2
Uh-huh.
coming
Yeah, it's
out.
out
Oh
now.
yeah, yeah.
And it's full price like a normal game, $59.99, right? Something like that.
Probably. Yeah.
And I was like, damn, that's expensive. And then it clicked in my head, oh, that's the normal price of a game.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I remember that conversation, yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm like, you know, I don't buy any game at that price anymore. I think
No,
the
me
only games that I buy full price are DS games and Vita games.
And those are cheaper than that anyway.
yeah, those are
Yeah.
cheaper. Yeah,
Which doesn't make sense to me because it's almost the same thing. I mean, technically lower
Yeah.
quality,
Uh-huh.
but you're still getting like a full on game.
Yep.
And the
Yeah.
packaging is almost identical. I dare say that maybe even the chips that they use for DS cartridges and Vita cartridges are probably more expensive. Than
Oh, yeah, they have to
Blu-ray.
be.
So I don't see why the skyrocket in price. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't like for my PS4. I've not bought any game at full price, and that's something I'm quite happy of.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of that.
Yeah.
It's like today, a lot of gamers like us, we are smart with our money. A lot of us, not like there's a percent that really do like to spend money on their games because they have a lot of money, but those others that they do have lots of money, but they also save the money. They don't like buy something at full price.
Yeah.
They wait. They, like we said in the previous podcast, they wait until a review comes out and let's see how this game goes. Let's see how this game is. What kind of microtransaction does it have? What kind of DLC? What kind of season pass? Etc. Etc. We need to know what the game has before we buy.
Yeah.
Those are the type of gamers who really and actually save their money instead of spending it and be extremely disappointed at the end.
Yep. All right, thank you for joining us for this wonderful conversation. This has been Shinja. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe this video, and check out Zyberstation.
And hey guys, this is Officerdan. I've got a channel that I do with Shinja called Karibokai Play, where we're playing all sorts of different kinds of games, and it's crazy and fun. Be sure to check us out over there.
As always, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys later.